The early line on a Friday morning, a glorious football Friday. It's Donny Rightside here with Joe Raineri. And as you know, we get down to the business here over 2 hours, but it's so much fun. Like we talked about a game last night, Eagles versus the Cowboys. We handicapped it yesterday. We watched it play out. Today, we get to come on the air and talk about it on a Friday. And the best part about that is we get to do it again tonight, Joe. We have another game, Sao Paulo, Brazil, between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers. Let's set the table for this one. We saw a game last year in Brazil. The Philadelphia Eagles, in a crazy game like you saw last night, ended up beating the Green Bay Packers. One thing that stood out, both of those teams are talented. Both of those teams went on to the playoffs, but the field was a struggle with slipping and issues there. Hopefully the NFL remedied that situation. And let's say they did. So let's take a look at the line itself. The Kansas City Chiefs, in a de facto away game, quote-unquote neutral site game with the Chargers, they're favored by 3 points. The total in this game is listed at 46.5. Your initial thoughts, Joe, on the spread and the total when you saw that open and also where we sit today on game day.
Well, it should be noted, too, Donnie, that the NFL did everything in their power prior to this here over the last couple of months to avoid the ridiculousness of that field and how slippery it was and how bad the conditions were in there. So what they do, they sent their guys and they completely redid the turf in this stadium for this game. So the NFL did step in. They don't want a repeat of how bad it was last year. So that means we're probably going to get a pretty fast track here. And initially I thought, well, international game against a couple of rivals, right? What are you going to get? Justin Herbert's had a ton of success covering games against the Chiefs and Mahomes and Andy Reid. But I'm a little worried about this Chargers team. A little banged up on that offensive line. What are you going to get from Najee Harris? Can he actually see? There's more questions, I think, with the Chargers than what we have with the Chiefs, who I know defensively are going to show up. And I'll go back to it. I thought there was a reason why we saw so much Patrick Mahomes and the starters in the preseason, which we usually hadn't done prior. I think they're coming out here. They're expecting to fly around. I think Worthy's going to have a big night. I thought actually the number might have been a little bit light at 2.5 when it opened, but it's been steady Kansas City money since, and now we're sitting at a field goal.
Yeah, Rashee Rice will not be playing in this game. As everybody knows, got that suspension. He'll be out for the first couple weeks of the NFL season. But if the focus, Joe, is on the quarterback position, you got two good ones here. It's Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid hopefully going to take that restraint off of Patrick Mahomes, which we didn't have that big strike ability over the past season and a half. Maybe that's back in the fold. But Herbert is always the wild card. If you look at the passing props here, 244.5 for Patrick Mahomes, 234.5 for Justin Herbert. If I gave you that one question and said, Joe, you can go over or under on either one of these quarterbacks, how do you play Herbert Mahomes? Is it an over for Mahomes and under, or the same thing with Justin Herbert with his passing props tonight?
Yeah, well, I mean, the spread's telling us it's going to be a close game, right, Donnie? So if it's going to be a close game, who's going to dictate this game? Are the Chiefs playing from in front? Because if they are, they've been deadly in the Mahomes era here. They don't usually lose leads. Even if you get close in the fourth quarter, they end up figuring out ways to win one-score games. 11 of them, I think, last year alone, Donnie. So to me, I think it's going to be about Patrick Mahomes and his ability to push the ball downfield, opening up the running game. You know what Harbaugh wants to do. He's not going to sit there and drop Herbert back unless they are getting blown out and they have to make up a big deficit. They're going to run the ball. They're going to be a power team. They're going to take their time. They're not going to put Herbert in harm's way there. I definitely think Mahomes is the guy to concentrate on the over props. And I think Herbert is definitely going to have one of those under games where they're going to try to establish the run come hell or high water here.
No, I agree with you, too. And there's a reason, like, you don't play your starting quarterback in preseason games to come out and have a timid game plan. Like, okay, Patrick, our goal is to have you throw 27 times. Like, they should be revved up and ready to go immediately here. Now, last night, Joe, we saw 5 rushing touchdowns, which is something I didn't see. But the odds makers always let you know where they want to distract you from. Hey, let's hang a minus 210 on Saquon Barkley. We don't want anybody betting that because we think he's going to score. Boom, touchdown. And a lot of books out there last night had great prop bets on the odds boost for Saquon to score. Look at that. Jalen Hurts, minus 165 price. We don't want you betting that. Why? Because he scored 2 rushing touchdowns. Now, this game, we don't have those issues, Joe. It's all plus money. Xavier Worthy, plus 120. Omari and Hampton, plus 155. Kelsey, plus 160. McConkey, plus 165. If we're expected to get into the mid-40s of this game, that's multiple touchdowns. If you had a player tonight that you had to pick out to say, you know what, Donnie, this guy's finding pay dirt, who's that for you tonight?
Oh, I think Worthy. I think Worthy is going to.
He's the number one.
Is really going to have a big game. Yeah, I really do, because I think he's the big play guy, right? Of all those guys on the list, he is one catch away from breaking it, and he's gone to the house. He is what Tyreek Hill was to this team when he was there. And I think they're going to try to get him more involved, especially with Rice going to miss the first month and a half here. I definitely think Worthy is going to be there. And if not, a lot of those other guys are going to be available then, I think, because the Chargers are going to spend a lot of time trying to make sure he doesn't burn them.
By the way, if we are looking at the touchdown market, not a decent night last night. Hit my best bet, which was over 1.5 rushing touchdowns for the Philadelphia Eagles. They got that easily. But if I look at that Chargers backfield, knowing how much that they want to run the football and Harbaugh enjoys the run, Omari and Hampton is a plus 155. Najee Harris is supposed to play, and Najee Harris maybe scores a touchdown, plus 240. But if I gave you both of those options and said, bet them both here, and again, last time we didn't get one touchdown pass out of a game with Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts last time with all those good wide receivers. So it happens and it's quirky. But how don't we have that? How does Hampton and or Najee Harris not get a touchdown on the ground tonight when last night we saw 5 rushing touchdowns?
Yeah, well, I tell you, I mean, Najee Harris, I believe his rushing attempts, Donnie, are 6.5. So we know Hampton is getting the start. They have said he's going to play. How much he plays, Harris, we don't know. But we know with Harbaugh, we know what's going to happen. I mean, Hampton was the 22nd overall pick this year for them. He wanted some depth in the backfield. This was already when they knew they had Najee Harris, but he wanted another back. He's going to get used a lot. I think especially in the goal line situations here. He is the guy. Najee Harris, 6.5 attempts, worries me, Donnie. What happens if he gets out there for the first 2 and they're like, no, he's not ready?
He can't see. By the way, rushing props here. Isaiah Pacheco leads the game here with 47.5. Hampton's at 46.5. Last night, Joe, I bought really low on Jahan Dotson. He ended up leading the Philadelphia Eagles in receiving. Now, granted, I only took him at 6.5. The expectation, ult him to 50. I didn't see that coming, but he did. The reason I ask you this question, rushing props tonight, Xavier Worthy, 4.5 rushing yards. You know he's going to get a jet sweep, right? So if I tell you right now, Joe, Xavier's going to get 1 carry tonight, he's got to go over that 4.5, no?
Yeah, I agree. I think one end around there, one of those jet sweeps, and that's going to be the end of it. And then the big question is, what do we get from Marquise Brown? Those are 2 guys you cannot let run wild either. So I think this is going to be interesting for the Chiefs on how Andy Reid, and what is Andy Reid going to do in game 1? Is he emptying the playbook? I don't know. We're going to see that either, though, Donnie.
Let me ask you this question, too, because we have so much to talk about in this game. Tom Vecchio is going to help us out in the next segment, go over a couple of these prop bets. Travis Kelce, 47.5. He's aging. It's clear he's not the same player that he once was. But I always like the freshest you're going to be on the season, Joe, is opening night. What do you think about Kelce tonight?
Oh, yeah, I think he's going to have a opportunity inside the red zone there to score a touchdown. It's his favorite guy, right? So Mahomes is going to look for him, going to have an opportunity to get it done. At the price with him, it's not a bad look here because he's not going to start slow like he did last year, if you remember. I think Kelce, and again, the starters playing all preseason long, I think they're going to be in midseason form here tonight, this offense.
I'm telling you, I like a lot of these receiving props here, and one that's going to draw me in, I'm going to get a laugh out of it. It's Quentin Johnston. It's 22.5. You're asking him just to make catches, which means he'll be wide open. He'll be over the middle for 30 yards. Does the ball hit him in the face, or does he actually catch it? Those are the questions. Tom Beck is going to help answer those questions next, right here on The Early Line. Right back at you here on The Early Line on a Football Friday Sports Grid Network. The way we get down, it's Joe Raineri, it's Donny Rightside. Now it's time to welcome in Tom Vecchio, one of my partners in crime right here on the Sports Grid Network. It's football season. We never rest. Yeah. There's no rest. You got to be up early. You got to be in the gym. You got to be talking football. Tom, what's good, man?
I'm doing good. Last night's game, as I was just saying during the commercial breaks, was A little bit of a letdown, a little bit anticlimactic, whatever you want to call it. So many of the props were looking so good. Dak fell just short of his pass attempts. The total at one point was sitting at 60-61, the live total. And obviously, we don't get anywhere near that after the weather delay. And these teams were scoring just like at a torrid pace in the first half. And then it's punt, 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 punt to end the game. So, we saw the Cowboys cover. We saw the under hit, which I guess were theoretically correlated. They would be covering a larger spread in a lower scoring game. But we're on to today, and we're on to this weekend.
Absolutely. And we are on to today with another live NFL football game, an 8 o'clock kickoff from Brazil. We saw it last year, Tom, Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to do it again, this time with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers. Line opened up in the summer months, -2.5 for the Chiefs. We're now seeing threes across the board. The total, which is actually 44.5 at the opening number at some outlets, now sits at 46.5. Tom, what's your thoughts and your process tonight on looking at this game between the Chiefs and the Chargers?
Really tough, just because we are dealing with such a unique circumstance in terms of the environment. So, seeing people talk about trends, Andy Reid on the road when he's a favorite of the X points or fewer, something that doesn't really matter to me because they're on the road. Like, this is not just a normal road game where they leave on Saturday afternoon, they get in, they get out, they come away with the win. Like, it's obviously very different. I think some of the lines for the player props are super efficient, especially after the Rice suspension news, specifically Worthy, who's now up to 60 yards. I have no interest in betting that. I think that market is super spot on. Go to someone like Hollywood Brown, Marquise Brown. A couple deep shots from him, he can get over that number in 2 catches, really. So I kind of like Brown, and then knowing that Hampton is starting for the Chargers, I wouldn't mind his TD prop as well.
All right.
We've heard a lot over the last couple of months here by Mahomes and Matt Nagy and this Chiefs team, where it's no secret they have not been throwing the ball deep at all. And in fact, I mean, he's been like, 5-yard curl Charlie here, Patrick Mahomes, the last couple of seasons. They have gone out of their way to make it a point and say that will not happen again this year, which I think is a big reason why we saw them so much in the preseason. It feels like we should be taking advantage as much as we can with Mahomes, the passing yards over, the receivers. What do you think?
I think that's a good point. And, we can tie some of this into, and I guys were talking about Travis Kelce in the previous segment, but like all this works together where like there were Travis Kelce retirement rumors prior to this season. So if they're saying like, listen, this may be our last like actual go at things with this team, that means we have to be trusting Mahomes. We have to be trusting the deep ball. We have to be trusting his yards. Like, seeing Pacheco and Kareem Hunt in the backfield, like I think that's a good running back room. By no means is that great. By no means are people ranking Pacheco as one of the top running backs in the league. So when push comes to shove, do we just trust Mahomes time and time again for the yards, for the longest completion, whatever it might be? And then same thing with Kelce. Like if you want to trust him knowing getting up the seam for 47 yards, he could do that in 3 catches and he gets 15-yard chunks. That's what we should be leaning into. And in 2 or 3 weeks, if they're not doing that, then we just adjust.
We got Tom Vecchio here. See him all around the Sports Grid Network, giving that great insight on any sport you ask for. Tom comes up with some gems, which I'm going to ask you about this next game. Not tonight, Tom. Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock from the Meadowlands. That's the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New York Jets. I know you got a couple angles in this one. What do we got?
Yeah, let's get to it. So starting off with DK Metcalf, over 54.5 receiving yards. This is very simple. When it comes to the Steelers, they went out and traded him. They gave him all this money and extended him. And when you look at the Steelers lineup overall, Calvin Austin, Roman Wilson, Pat Freiermuth, none of those players should be reasonably taking targets away from DK Metcalf. He is the guy to throw the ball to. So just get him the ball, get it early, get it going often. I know this game is a lower total, and on the other side of this, I actually like Justin Fields under 27.5 passing attempts. We know that the Steelers are going to be without Cam Hayward, one of their run stoppers. They're also going to be without Derek Harmon. So, and we got a report yesterday from Dan Graziano from ESPN saying that the Jets plan to run the ball, feature a heavy run game. So Fields is just not going to be throwing 30-plus times. It's just not going to happen. Between Fields himself, Breece Hall, and Braylon Allen, they're going to run the ball, and it's just going to take opportunities away from Fields. So DK over, Fields under.
So there's a lot of teams where, Tom, we're hoping that we see different versions than what we got last year. You have been big on Arizona heading into the season here. And the one thing Arizona hopes changes is that can Trey McBride get in the end zone a couple times? Just, I don't know. I mean, can he? Because he couldn't last year at all.
He couldn't last year. And like I said, I am high on Arizona in terms of them being more competitive. They got off to a really good start last year. I got to say, I was very vocal against them just because they were beating up on all these non-playoff teams. So when you're going 5-2, 6-2, and 5 of your 6 wins against non-playoff teams, that doesn't impress me. But they ended the season well. I'm not going to say it was great, but I like what they've done with Gannon, their head coach. And when it comes to Trey McBride, he was absolutely awesome last year. And when you look at his game log, he had 2 receiving touchdowns, I should say, 2 receiving touchdowns. And he came in the last 2 weeks of the season. He had a rushing touchdown before he had a receiving touchdown. But when you're dealing with a player that has a 28% target share and a 32% red zone target share, him simply not scoring is variance. He was on the bad side of variance last year for being that involved in the offense. So this year, I like the narrative that he just gets the touchdown in the first week of the season, the thing he literally couldn't do until the last weeks of the year.
Dominant tight end. Absolutely love the guy here. Maybe he does shine opening day. Let me ask you this question. All off season long, I kept saying, I don't understand the 49ers. They just seem too injured to me. Christian McCaffrey's taking pictures. He's jacked up. He's ready to go. I wasn't buying it. And he pops up, Tom, on the report with a calf injury before we start. How are we playing the Niners and McCaffrey this year? Come on.
You're playing it with a Brian Robinson TD bet. If you can get that in anytime touch. And they traded for him. They like him. Yeah, right. And then Shanahan said he's our number 2 back. He is a bigger back around the goal line. I saw him last night at 380. I did manage to get a Brian Robinson TD bet in at plus 500 before the books moved the number. So I have that. But if you get him at 300, take it.
Smart wagers by Tom Vecchio. It's what he does. Now, what's the rest of your day here? You getting lifts in here? You doing more football content? What are you doing the rest of the day?
Gym right after this, football the rest of the day, all weekend of football.
That's a real man right there. That's Tom Vecchio, and he's ours on the Sports Grid Network. We'll have him on all throughout football season to break it all down. It's Donny Rightside at Showdown. We'll be right back. Sunday night football. Anybody? Yeah, we'll talk about it. Are you ready for some football? A Sunday night party. Oh, my goodness, man. Like the NFL does it right. They do. They gave you Dallas, Philadelphia opening night. They're going to give you the Chiefs and the Chargers, night number 2 in prime time. And the next biggest time slot, like, yes, we love the 1 o'clock games and the 4:05 games and the 4:25 games. But Sunday night football, we want this rematch. 2 of the best teams in the AFC anticipated to kick off their 2025 season. That's the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, MVPs, superstars all over. How about this? The favorite, not the Buffalo Bills at home. It's the Baltimore Ravens at 1.5 at just about every single outlet. A total in this game that's listed at 50.5. Let's start there, Joe. The favorites are the Ravens. Do you agree?
No, I do not. But you want to give me 1.5. I mean, listen, here's the situation. I will take the Buffalo Bills at home at even money or better, getting point anytime. The only where I would look, maybe step back with Buffalo is if they're laying an obnoxious number. But if you're going to give me that kind of price and that kind of number with the Bills at home, no. It's not like the Ravens are going to be statistically any better than they were last year. They were absolutely dominating last year. And guess what? Yeah, they beat the Bills in the regular season. Well, what happened in the postseason? Oh, yeah, that's right. You lost. So if I'm Buffalo, maybe part of me is like, you know what? Let's not win this game because we're probably seeing them in the postseason and we'll handle it then. But at home, at plus money, Donnie, I'm going to take Buffalo in game 1 here. I do think there are still some question marks on the offensive line for Baltimore, and I don't think they're going to be as good rushing the passer like they were a year ago. I think there's going to be a little bit of regression here. Having said that, the market thinks the total was a little too high, too. It was 51.5 a couple of weeks ago, and now we're starting to see the under money come in.
Yeah, let me take a look here at this game, too. I just want to see, so we'll go Sunday Night Football, about the weather conditions up there in Orchard Park. Looks like 57 degrees, which is hilarious that we're already that cool temperatures. Very light winds and no precipitation, so a perfect night for football. Let's not have any cramping up, because I want to take a look at the touchdown market, which I think is interesting. No surprise, it's Derrick Henry, minus 150 price, leader in the clubhouse. He probably does score a touchdown. Everybody else around that plus money or higher. But some of the numbers I look at, and in big games, Joe, early in the season, if you're running quarterback, sometimes you do it with your legs. And that's not like recency bias. Hey, did you see Jalen Hurts score 2 touchdowns last night? Jalen Hurts is mobile. That's what he does. You know who else is mobile? It's Josh Allen and it's Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen sitting around a plus 100 or so for that anytime touchdown. But Lamar Jackson, you're getting as high as a 2-to-1 price point at a lot of books out here. If we look at the quarterback positions, do we think both of these guys can get in? Because as I said, big game opening night, my legs are fresh. Hey, passing isn't there, I'll run it.
Well, one of the highest totaled games, right? So those prices there reflect a lot of people that can get it into the end zone on both of these teams. But you got to love James Cook in this spot. We saw this, right? In the playoff game, Cook scored, I believe, twice. Ran for 85 yards, 13 carries. He had a ton of success against this defense last year when I think they were better. I don't see any reason for him not to find the end zone in this one. And the problem with both Lamar and Josh Allen is in game one, are we sacrificing these guys? Are we calling their number inside the 2-yard line? And does Andrews get a chance to redeem himself by not dropping a touchdown pass in this game?
He needs to. He absolutely needs to. And maybe they come back because, Lamar Jackson's a good guy. He might just go to him early and often and say, hey, man, all forgiven last year. Let's go have a big game and a big season. Rushing props for the quarterbacks quickly here. Josh Allen, 31.5, and then Lamar Jackson at 46.5. But let's focus on the passing props for these two MVP quarterbacks. Josh Allen, 229.5. Lamar Jackson is actually higher at 233.5, and the touchdown throwing marketplace over 1.5 for both of these guys. -114 for Allen, -130 for Lamar Jackson. Look at Lamar Jackson with more juice here right now in the passing game, Joe.
Yeah, well, he's still, it's kind of crazy, right? What do you have, 41 touchdowns last season?
Yeah.
And that's kind of crazy. He had 17 in the final 8 games alone, so the year prior. So I think it's a good bet. It's -130 for over 1.5 touchdowns for a reason, Donny. It's that price for a reason. And yes, I think that's a good bet in this spot.
I'm looking at FanDuel right now, only 3 props for wide receiver receiving yards. Now, granted, it's Friday. You're going to wait for Saturday and Sunday. Zay Flowers, 57.5. Mark Andrews, 44.5. And Rashad Bateman, 36.5. Nothing up there for the Buffalo Bills. Interesting. And hour number 2 comes up next. We're only getting started. It's the early line. Don't you go anywhere. It's Joe and Donny in the morning. Oh, college football with Coach Bowden. You got to love that, people. But you know what else we love? You get excited because we watched the game last night, Joe. We're going to have another game tonight, which we already went over, the Kansas City Chiefs, neutral site, Brazil, Los Angeles Chargers. But now we got to check out the schedule for the rest of the weekend here. And it starts with basically where it ends on Monday Night Football. There is intrigue, people. The Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. It's J.J. McCarthy's debut in the NFL as a starting quarterback going up against Caleb Williams, who struggled at times last year because they have a defensive coordinator as a head coach. Now he doesn't. He has genius Ben Johnson. But we see the Chicago Bears getting 1.5 points on their home turf, going up against the Vikings in a total of 43.5. By the way, that's down from 45.5 over the summer. What the expectations are for you, Joe Raineri, for both of these offenses, maybe new look.
Yeah, well, what are we getting from J.J. McCarthy is going to be everyone's big question, because the market seems to think that you're going to get a guy that, despite his injury last year, wasn't able to play. You know what he was? He was in the system, is what he was. So he was able to do what a lot of young quarterbacks should be able to do. And that's not have to worry about playing, but understanding the playbook and understanding exactly what his role is going to be for next year. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of lag time here. I think McCarthy is going to come out. I think he's acclimated to the system here. I think he's going to be good. I am not, under any circumstances, a big Caleb Williams fan here. Ben Johnson aside, great young, offensive-minded coach here. But the market is telling you, they're going into Chicago, and they are a favorite. And I think they're a favorite for a reason.
By the way, this is one of those bets where it's week 1 tough. This is to get a handle. And the odds makers are telling you that. Throw the 1.5 out there and see what happens in this game. This is one where it's like, okay, I bet the Chicago Bears. I can't believe that. The Bears aren't ready for prime time. Or you bet Minnesota on the road. I told you the Bears would be a really good football team. I can't believe that you bet the Minnesota Vikings. It feels like one of those. But the touchdown maker market here for Monday night, Justin Jefferson plus 120 price, DeAndre Swift plus 130, Aaron Jones plus 150. There's good price points across the board. But also, as you just talked about, that line low, Joe. Why are we taking a look at 2 offensive guru teams here and a low 40s number? What am I missing?
Well, I think the one of the big reasons why Minnesota is the favorite is that defense. That defense goes on the road, and you know what's going to happen there. That team is going to go after
Brian
Caleb
Flores.
Williams. And,
Yeah.
and you know Flores is going to have him. And guess what happens when you put pressure on Caleb Williams? It's not good. I do think Chicago's defense is just as good. I'd be worried about some of these props here, Donny, because how are we getting to 44 points? To me, this is going to be a defensive battle back and forth.
Mr. Jones and me. Remember that song? Well, we're talking about Daniel Jones at this point now. We're not back in the 1990s. We're in the here and now. The Miami Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa on the road to take on Daniel Jones. Who had that on their bingo card this year? And also, we just talked about a game on Monday Night Football. Joe, it's listed at 1.5. We're going to now talk about this game listed at 1.5 as a favorite towards the home team Colts. 46.5 to 47.5 as a total in this game. I'm telling you, week one, there are landmines, and it just feels like you're going to step on one this weekend, and it just might be the Dolphins and the Colts.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's indoors, it's on the turf. Tyreek Hill is playing, and I'm sorry, the weapons of Miami offensively, with Tua throwing them the ball, they've already shown us that they'll put up a ton of points offensively with the conditions right. Daniel Jones is not going to go toe-to-toe with Tua and those receivers with what he's got there. I think Miami goes on a road and wins this game because, well, they've got the better quarterback and they've got the better receivers with no conditions to worry about. I think Miami rolls.
By the way, how are you playing Tyreek Hill in this game, Joe, right? Healthy to start the season. As you said, on turf, not a great football team here. His touchdown market is a plus 135. Do you look towards the touchdown as explosion, or how about just his usage rate, catches or over yards?
Yeah, and I think Tua and has spent a lot of time this offseason talking about how they are on the same page and everything is kumbaya. And he's going to get him the ball a lot, I think, in this game. So I like all of those angles.
68.5 for Tyreek Hill. That could be one catch right there. Jalen Waddle, 57.5. Michael Pittman Jr. here, the wide receiver for the Colts. He's listed at 46.5. But it's Daniel Jones. How excited can you be? Let me see what Tua has, because we've talked about it, Joe. The Miami Dolphins, you lose this football game to Daniel Jones. I understand it's a road game and it's a close spread. It's hard to win on the NFL. It's week number 1. This could go off the rails quickly. It feels like they need this game, Joe, the Dolphins, to win this one going away. You know who else needs a victory? Jets and the Steelers. Let's talk about that game next for Sunday. Feel like singing again here, Joe Raineri. I'm back. Back in the New York groove. Is that Aaron Rodgers? Is that what's going to be on his headset when he steps into the stadium this week at MetLife to take on the New York Jets, the conquering hero? Well, I don't know if he's a hero to Jets fans at that point. Didn't have all that good a season, and also understandably got injured within the first 3 plays of the season before that. But he's coming back as a Steeler, and the Steelers are a favorite, Joe. 2.5s to 3s, depending on where you're shopping at. And look at this total, 37.5. Rock 'em, sock 'em, robots. Is there any way that Aaron Rodgers can show his face back in Pittsburgh if he loses this game to the Jets and Justin Fields? Oh, no, by the way, Joe, Justin Fields was not a Jet last year. He was a Steeler. Moving parts here, musical chairs.
Yeah, this is going to be ugly. And the market is telling you it's going to be ugly at 37.5 here. And listen, we've already heard, right? We've heard Coach Glenn there, the Jets, talk about, listen, we are going to run the football. We are going to be a running smash mouth team. And guess what Pittsburgh is? Exactly what they are. I do not expect all of a sudden Aaron Rodgers to want to drop back with a questionable offensive line with Pittsburgh and be like, all right, we're going to throw the ball 45. Not with that Jets pass rush, you're not. So I think the total is low for a reason here. You're not going to get a athletic or mobile Aaron Rodgers, right? So both teams are going to try to run the ball down each other's throats there. And to me, it's all about, okay, who do we trust? I trust a more athletic quarterback that can run, believe it or not, because he can use his legs. Probably won't have to use his arm all that much in Justin Fields. So I think the Jets have the edge here simply because they're more dangerous with Fields running than with than the Jets have to worry about when Aaron Rodgers running.
Yeah, Justin Fields rushing prop in this game, 42.5. Receiving props, which you know are going to be low from a Jet side because it's Justin Fields throwing the football. Garrett Wilson at 54.5. Sounds like a lot of yards, but he is going to be the main target all day long for the Jets. But you're right about this. We're not expecting this to be pretty. Somebody has to win, and they're probably going to win ugly in this game. Let's get to the Jacksonville Jaguars. A lot of expectations this year on the Jags. Why? Liam Cohen comes to town. You trade up in the draft. You got Travis Hunter. He'll start at wide receiver. But also, it's time for the Carolina Panthers to start to stand up and say, we might be able to be a player in the NFC South. The favorites, though, are the Jaguars at a 3.5-point line and a total of 46.5. I do have some good expectations for the Jaguars, but is this one of those games that you start week one and say, well, Carolina's supposed to be an easy victory, and oh no, look, Carolina's got a young quarterback finally playing well with Dave Canales.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because why is the hook still available, Donny? Why is this still 3.5 at this particular point? So I think that's telling, because why would you leave that out there? Are we expecting it to go? Are we going to get that last minute push for Panther money to come in? I think this is an interesting game. I also think it's one where, given the weapons on both sides and given the propensity of both defenses to give up a lot, this feels like could be a good old fashioned shootout here between the two quarterbacks and Xavier Legette on one side, Brian Thomas on the. This feels like a shootout to me. We might get some points here with these two defenses.
That's what we have here on this. And also, if you are looking from a survivor pool perspective here, the New Orleans Saints and the Arizona Cardinals probably going to be high on that list, and not for back in New Orleans, for the Arizona Cardinals. But understand this. Spencer Rattler, had a pretty good preseason. And you say, like, well, this team's supposed to stink this year. You know what's supposed to really stink last year, and technically did, was New England. You know, they had Jacoby Brissett on the road and picked up a victory over the Cincinnati Bengals. Could be this type of environment here. The Cardinals are roughly a touchdown favorite and a total of 42.5. I smell a rat in this game. How about that?
Yeah, I see blowout in this game. Sometimes when it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, guys, it's a duck. Do not overthink this. This is a awful Saints team. Anybody who watched them in preseason, I don't care who they throw under center. It's not going to make a difference. This is a bad team. And I think this is a big year for Coach Gannon. I think Arizona is loaded with a lot of weapons returning. The offensive line has been much improved. I think Kyler Murray runs all over him, throws all over him. I think Arizona runs away with this one.
By the way, talking about a bad football team, it's supposed to be this year, right? It's the New Orleans Saints. We were talking about being a bad football team this year, record-wise at least. The New York Football Giants. They're going to take on the Washington Commanders, 1 o'clock on Sunday, NFC East battle. This line over the summer, Joe, we had 7s in the marketplace. That's gone. We're down to 5.5 and 6s at just about every outlet, in a total of 45.5. Are the Giants sneaky in this game? Because the expectations and the love for Washington after their season last year and their young quarterback in Jaden Daniels, rightfully so. But also the Giants' expectations coming in this year. We don't know. Dart's playing well. Russell get the start. There's some talent, particularly on the defensive line. Could we see a Giants win, or at least a cover this Sunday down in Landover, Maryland?
Well, you can, count me in as to one of those bettors that was pushing this line down from where it opened, because let me just tell you this. I am not sure the Commanders are any better this year than they were last year. I can promise you the Giants are better this year than they were last year. And yet the Commanders won amazingly by 3 because the Giants didn't have a kicker. Everybody had gotten hurt, and they lost by 3 and they lost by 5. This defense of the Giants, Lawrence, Burns, Thibodeau, Abdul Carter, all healthy. That's a problem for Jaden Daniels and this Washington team. I think the Giants are very alive in this game.
I'm interested to watch that because I do want to see what the Giants have. And again, having a ticket in my pocket for the season on ESPN bet over 3.5 for the Giants. Oh, I would like a little upset on opening day on the road against the Washington Commanders. We'll see if that happens. Tampa Bay, what are they known for? Well, they won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady. They won a Super Bowl back in the day with John Gruden. But now they're known for winning this division, it seems like, every single year. You got a good one on opening day. Tampa Bay is going to travel to Atlanta. It's Baker Mayfield versus Michael Penix Jr. 1.5-point spread. This is a favorite for the road team currently right now, the Buccaneers. 47.5, 46.5, depending on where you're shopping at as a total. We already don't like how the season is going to start for Atlanta because the offensive line is banged up. Is that enough to win this football game, or is Tampa just going to be too much, Joe, Sunday?
Well, this is a game that I absolutely love quarterback props. I love Baker Mayfield in this spot here, and we've seen some crazy shootouts with Atlanta and Tampa here. But Atlanta's defense giving up nearly 25 a game last year, and they focused more on getting Michael Penix Jr. help in the offseason than they did solidifying that defense. We know what Bowles is going to bring. We know what Rachaad White is going to bring. I think Tampa scores a whole lot in this game. I'd be looking to center my prop bets around Baker Mayfield over passing and touchdowns.
Are you settling in here on some good quarterback play, which we are expecting for Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals? They played in the preseason. Congratulations. Now we start the regular season, and they take on the Cleveland Browns. Last year should have been an easy victory opening weekend there at home against the Patriots. They lost. Now they go on the road as 5.5-point favorites here in a total, 47.5 to 48.5. Flacco and Burrow. Is it just too easy for the Bengals, or can we see something come up and rise? Like, oh, wait, got some good players on the Browns. Maybe limited, but they could win this, maybe.
Home divisional underdogs since 2012. In week one, 18-4 against the number. The Browns will keep this game close. I don't care how many preseason games Joe Burrow played. The Browns will keep this close.
Look at that. Keeping it close there. Flacco and the boys getting ready. Myles Garrett sacking quarterbacks. We'll see. I want to see what Jamar Chase has up his sleeve in this game. And if he starts his Offensive Player of the Year tour in game number 1, wouldn't mind to see it. How about the New England Patriots? They're home this weekend against the Vegas Raiders. That's Geno versus May. 2.5-point spread. Favorite at home here for the Patriots. Are the Patriots ready to be favorites this year and make a run to the playoffs, Joe?
This number was higher, and I've seen nothing over the last month but Vegas money getting 3 points here, which has pushed this down. So the Patriots have become a very big public darling, and we haven't played a game yet. That would worry me. It would worry me here, Donnie. So, yeah, I would look maybe to tease the Raiders up and over.
I'm worried about a guy's half muscle right now. Which running back is that? Find out next right here on the early line. As the Joker used to say, riddle me this, Batman. Is Christian McCaffrey going to be healthy for game number 1 of the season, let alone game number 5, 7, 9, 10, 11, and 12? Those are the questions that we need answers, because popping up on the practice report midweek with a calf strain, that's never a good sign. And Dr. Donny, I play one on TV. If that is a calf strain, he's not playing this weekend. And as I said before, Joe, if it is and he plays, he will get injured, and you might not see him from weeks to months after this game. That brings up an interesting dilemma here. Why? The San Francisco 49ers are on the road to take on the Seattle Seahawks. Divisional game, could be pivotal in the season. Minus 1.5-point spread here. Favorite for the road team, San Francisco. Sam Darnold's going to make his debut for the Seahawks, and that total sits at 43.5. But you see the marker right there. Christian McCaffrey's on the left side of that screen. How effective can he be, Joe, with a calf strain already?
Well, they're already in damage control here because, yesterday, right, he practice opened to reporters early. He was on the field to start, but didn't go through the practice. And he's listed now as limited. And then, of course, his scheduled media session, guess what? That was postponed here. So they're already running interference for him here. And it's an issue. It's always been an issue, unfortunately, with him. Last year, he missed 8 games. I don't care how easy the schedule is. The 49ers are not the same team without a healthy Christian McCaffrey. Brian Robinson is not Christian McCaffrey.
No.
Yeah, I'm not running to the window backing anything with this 49ers team right now.
Nope, doesn't look that way at this point. The highest spread of the week in the National Football League for week number 1, the game we're going to talk about next. The Tennessee Titans on the road with their rookie quarterback Cam Ward going up against Bo Nix, a young quarterback in the NFL that had a very successful rookie campaign. This line opened up at 7 in the summer. We now sit at 8.5 across the board. Is this too easy for the Denver Broncos, or is this one that you say to yourself, look, I think Denver wins. I don't know if they cover the spread, or can we be live with a rookie quarterback in his first career start in elevation?
Yeah, no, Denver is going to win and win by 1 million. I expect nothing short of that here with the Broncos. Defensively, they are just absolutely ferocious. I do not see a situation in which we are going to get a ton of offense from Tennessee with a rookie quarterback. I do think, however, especially in altitude, I do think Denver pulls away in the second half. I think Bo Nix continues right where he left off last year with good old the coach there. So to me, Denver, lay it, and look for a team total under with Tennessee.
By the way, also, like Sean Payton, obviously, we know did a wonderful job with Bo Nix. Expectations are high for this season, but understand this too. Denver's got a really good defense. That's a rookie quarterback in elevation. Week number 1. Are the lights going to be too bright? Now, we know Cam Ward is a cool operator, man, but it's a different level going into Denver for game number 1 with expectations of the Broncos having a good season and getting off to a great start here. How about this one, Joe? 4:25 on Sunday. There's a reason why this is the primetime afternoon game. It's Detroit and it's Green Bay. The favorite, not Detroit. It's Green Bay at home. Green Bay just got Micah Parsons. We don't know if Micah Parsons is going to play. And if he does play, probably will be on a pitch count. But I got to tell you, I do agree with the line. I think the Packers should be favorite, and I think the Packers win opening day against the Lions.
Yeah, there are a couple of fantastic opportunities now that it is NFL season back for teasers here, Donnie. 6-point teasers. I will take any. You want to give me Detroit getting 8.5 points? I don't care who they're playing here. I think this is going to be a fun one, but ultimately, even outside of the teaser, until I see it, Green Bay, I think there's a whole lot of hype around, Parsons here, but I'm still a little iffy on Green Bay. I would back Detroit, certainly in a teaser opportunity as well.
You know what's funny about this too, Joe? Because we don't have the players are there. They're almost identical to what they were last year. Like the system is going to stay somewhat the same, I should say. But when you look at the offensive coordinator, the play calls coming in, do we question those? But this is again, week 1, this is what's so fantastic. When I look at this and I say to myself, I really took the Packers against the Lions. What was I thinking? Jahmyr Gibbs ran wild. Montgomery's punching runs in from the 1. The offense can't be stopped. And there's Jordan Love throwing interceptions. This guy's just not as good as Jared Goff is. But then there's the part of me that goes yeah, it is real. You lose your defensive coordinator and your offensive coordinator. It's going to take some time to gel out there. And the Green Bay Packers are riding that lightning right now from that Micah Parsons trade. These are the ones where you put your money in, you press the lever down and go, I'm an idiot at this point, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, I mean, especially Detroit swept the season series last year. They've won 6 of the last 7 against this team and coaching staff. I mean, to me, this is just a whole lot of hype for Green Bay and a whole lot of overreaction because of how everything ended last year for Detroit. 2 new coordinators, doesn't matter. That system's already been in place. So I do think Detroit is the better team, and I think they'll end up showing it in week 1.
How about this game? Houston and Los Angeles, 2 teams looking to vie for the divisions. Obviously, in the AFC, the Houston Texans maybe taking that next step this year if they can stay healthy. And then you take a look at Matthew Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams. No sexier team, as I call it, in the offseason with aspirations to get back and win a Super Bowl. But Matthew Stafford struggled in the preseason, not with performance, just with injury to his back. He's going to line up. The Rams say he's going to be fine. He looks great in practice, and away we go. They're a 3-point favorite over the Texans with a total of 43.5. That's a low total. Both of these defenses should be able to put heat on the quarterback. But the question is, can Matthew Stafford stand up to that heat once he gets knocked down?
Yeah, this feels like Houston is a live dog in this spot here. That is a legit defense that goes and gets after it. New offensive coordinator, by the way, for Houston and C.J. Stroud. Did not work out all that well for him last year. Started games off extremely slow, went MIA in the second half. I think things turn around for Houston this year, and I think they are live on the road inside.
Good games, man. You actually those 2 4:00 games, Detroit, Green Bay, Houston, and the Los Angeles Rams. Make sure you have your ticket purchased where you can watch both of those games or Red Zone for a couple whopper commercials during those games here. How
Watch
about that?
it here.
Come on.
I'll be covering it on In-Game Live here on Sunday. So there's no reason to go anywhere but right here.
Screen in the business, Joe Raineri. Matter of fact, turn down the Red Zone if you have it on. Turn the sports grid up, people. It's the only way to watch. We'll close the show down in style next, people. I think as the show is going on, Joe, I'm getting more energy. It's getting the power stone. Okay, I'm starting to feel the vibes. Oh, my back hurts. Take 2 Tylenol. In a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, you do start to feel better. The voice has been a little bit weak this week, but there's no rest for the weary, Joe. When you got to bring the content to the people, you can't be dipping out. You can't be taking sick days. You can't be taking off in the month of September, Joe. Come on now.
No. You got to man up. You got to get it done. It is football season, and now is the time to clear the deck, so to speak, and get it going. Little vitamin C, get it going, Donnie. Get it going.
Yes. The vibes, keep them high here, and now's the time of the program. We like to reach out to the people and see what they think about it. Here's Fade the Public. Look, if you had to work hard to try to find the Fade the Public poll today, I had to as well. I just hit the retweet button out there, but the people want to know, and answers need to be given. The question was simple. Go to our account on X at SportsGrid. The question asks, what is your favorite bet for tonight's Chiefs versus Charger game? 4 options. Chiefs, Chargers, over, under. For me, I actually like the Chiefs tonight. And I know, Don, you can't take the Chiefs when they lay points. You can't. Look, you're basically asking them to win the football game. If I think they win, I'm not saying they can't win by 3 points. Give me the Chiefs, Joe.
I love it. I am with you on the Chiefs all day long. I'm telling you, everything out of Chiefs camp and everything we saw in the preseason, to me, Donnie, it is all about opening up that offense and coming out firing, especially against a division rival and the Chargers here.
By the way, Joe, is anybody out there going like, you know what? I think the Chiefs win, but I don't think they cover the 3. Is that like that threading the needle, like they win by 2 points in this game? How do they do it?
Yeah, no, I think they win by at least a touchdown. I think that's what you're going to get. At least a touchdown. That's what I'm looking for here.
And by the way, if you want some conspiracy theories, to get Taylor Swift to actually perform at the Super Bowl, they probably need the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Hint, hint, give the Chiefs the breaks here this season, get them back to the Super Bowl. Tinfoil hat, Joe, but I'm just saying at this point right now. But you know what else the people need today at this point? They need winners. It's Friday. It's payday. Here's bye. Me, I'm going to keep it simple once again. I used Bet365 yesterday on a rushing prop in the game for the Philadelphia Eagles, over 1.5 rushing touchdowns at a minus 140 or so price. Today, I'm going to go again, over 1.5 rushing touchdowns. Well, Donnie, which team are you going to pick tonight? Is it going to be the Chargers or the Chiefs? How about both, people? How about I get 2 total rushing touchdowns in this game that we saw 5 last night? Running is the new passing, people, and that's where I'm going with my best bet. Kansas City versus Los Angeles tonight. Rushing touchdowns over 1.5 for the game. Doesn't matter. The punter could get one of these. And Andy Reid could get a rushing touchdown, and it'll still cash it for us. That's how we get down. It's Joe Raineri, it's Donny Rightside, and we are going 2-0 on our buy bets to end the week out here. Keep the vibes high. College football today, tomorrow. Pro football on Sunday. Pro football tonight. Lovely people. And you know what? We'll see you bright and early once again on Monday morning.